greet you with Jesus' joy, for it is in Him that we live, move, breathe, and have our very being. I am delighted that you joined Unboxed on Purpose today, a podcast created for Favored by the Father Ministries. Our featured guests step outside of comfort zones and become unboxed. We share experiences that share the fulfillment of our purpose and step outside to experience and share with you how we access our authentic destiny. And so today, our title is How to Be a Win-Win Communicator with our special guest, Alex Dumas. Hey, Alex.
Hey, Barbara. Great to see you. Thank you for inviting me onto this platform.
Thank you so much for let's let the audience know our secret. This is take two because for take one, I forgot to press record. You can't laugh at yourself. I mean to tell you, we got a problem.
Hey, listen, this is the right place to receive grace and experience that in real time and practice that, because mistakes happen. If I had somebody hold me up for every mistake and like face palm moment of my life, then I'd be in trouble. So
Let's just go ahead and introduce you to the audience now that I've done my confessional. Alex Dumas is an international speaker. He's a coach, and he's trained hundreds of corporate leaders and entrepreneurs so that they can become win-win communicators. He's part of a global movement that has generated over six figures for charitable causes. Alex is the ideal speaker for leadership, communication, and team building. He's a native of New York who resides with his bride and their two children. God bless you so much for your tenacity, young man. Thanks for being here. Would you tell our audience how we met?
yeah, we met via an introduction from this woman named Marta. So I want to give a quick shout out to her. She was part of a workshop that I hosted a couple months back for this event called the Coaches Summer Barbecue. And as she participated in that, I asked for some feedback and for people to make introductions to other folks who have virtual stages and person stages. And she mentioned Barbara. I was like, all right, let me find out more about this. And made sense. I felt aligned with it. And here we are. So, Marta, thank you. Shout out to you for this generous invitation introduction.
It's working out just great, Marta, and I can't wait for his episode to follow yours. As you reflect, Alex, on your life and go back to your childhood and teen years, what was your passion in life? Where did you live? And tell us about those days in the life of Alex Dumas.
Yeah, I grew up in New York. I grew up in Long Island to be specific. So, quick shout out to my hometown of Brentwood. And my loves, my passions as a kid were two things: music, and specifically rap music, writing. I had this dream or vision of becoming a rapper at some point. And I also love sports, football in particular. Football is my favorite sport. And I wanted to be like Jerry Rice. I wanted to win championships, win Super Bowls. And those were two things I was extremely passionate about. But here's the thing about passion, there's also got to be a thing called action. So as much as I would listen, I would write rhymes in my notebook, processing things, trying to find my voice, express myself in a way that was healthy, and also on the football field, being very animated, very, very boisterous, which is different from what was typical at home, right? I was very quiet, very reserved. I'm the youngest of four kids, and I was never really, I would say I was never very connected, or at least inside, never very emotionally connected. I would laugh, I would watch TV, I would watch movies with my brothers and my sister. I would be around, but I always kind of felt out of step with them, out of step with people in my community. So I found a lot of comfort with music. But I never learned any instruments as a kid. I didn't join the school band. I didn't perform at talent shows. In football, I went to practices. I played for a few years, but any dreams of going to the NFL really were squashed by the time I was 15. That's when I retired and I found other passions, dark passions or obsessions and addictions that replaced my love for football.
I like that phrase. I retired from my football career at the age of 15.
Yeah, there was no press conference or anything like that. It was just it was my solo mind of saying, "All right, I'm done with this. I want to take this path of no return."
And I know that in the passion that you are reciting, there's something to the whole idea of that repression of yourself, but that need for expression of yourself. Would you tell us a little bit more about self expression in the early and young adult days of Alex Dumas?
Yeah, the craving for self-expression came about from this one moment in time when I was around 5, 6 years old. It was a normal day, right? Just me playing, having fun, just doing whatever kids do, going around the house with my toys and watching cartoons, all that kind of stuff. And there's a certain photo in my home that I've probably seen dozens, hundreds of times, if that. And for some reason, I stopped and stared at it this time. Like something caught my eye. Like there was an awareness that happened, and it was my father, my mother, rest her soul, my older sister, my two older brothers. And if you listened or watched before, you heard me say that I'm the youngest of four. Right? They say the best for last, but in this case, I wasn't in this picture. I was looking in the back of it. I looked underneath. I'm trying to find myself, and I'm not there. And I made a decision in that moment of it was like a lightning bolt moment of this belief of I don't exist. I'm not here. I'm insignificant. I'm invisible. Right. That's the story that I made up in that one moment. Right. At a very young age, and that's the truth that I believe. But the facts were simple. The fact was I wasn't born yet when that photo was taken. So of course I couldn't have been in the picture. I wasn't even there was no possibility of me even being alive, right? But you hear this or watch this and might think, well, Alex, wouldn't it have been simple just to say, Mom, Dad, can we just take another family photo? I'd like to be in it. But when you have a strong belief, a strong thought, especially one that seemed very true, that I'm not here, I don't believe, I don't exist, I don't belong here, I'm not part of the family, that becomes the filter, that becomes the screen of how I see the world, of how I hear the world, of how I experience people in my community, in school. And I would collect evidence everywhere I go to support that. So my parents, they immigrated from Haiti in the 70s, so our native tongue is Haitian Creole. I never quite learned it, so already a disconnect with just communication between them, between other relatives who would try to speak to me. I would be embarrassed. I'd be humiliated. I couldn't speak. I literally couldn't speak what they speak the same language. So I would hide. I would do things to play small and shrink and make sure that nobody could see me because I didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want to try to defend like why don't you speak the language? Well, right? It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. And so I found other ways to cope with that. Someone that was writing as a young kid, and then eventually getting older, I found drugs, substance abuse. I found violence with uh, committing petty crimes. Finding that as out my outlet to be who I thought I was, but it wasn't really the truth. It was just me trying to put a band-aid on a gunshot wound, right? It's me trying to patch up this hole in this ship of my life and my mind of not being connected or not feeling like I belonged anywhere.
The idea of cloaking your identity to the point where you're not comfortable with who you are
Mm-hmm.
internally or externally. You didn't fit here, there, or anywhere. And
Yeah.
then you reached out, you latched out, and yet you wanted to find expression. I know that one way that you expressed yourself was on the football field or with your sports. What was another way that you did find to constructively express yourself?
Yeah, that's a good word. Constructively. Yeah, I would say with writing, right? I would write poems, raps, things like that, just to get my my true feelings out there because I didn't feel I could actually express it to people. Nobody would understand. Nobody would get it. So those were two ways that were easy outlets for me. And as I gotten older, now coaching and speaking on stages and podcasting, those are the ways that I'm able to focus that energy, right? Focus any of that loneliness or that pain, and use that actually for service. I use that to empower people rather than harm myself or beat myself down and depress myself and not shine or share my gifts.
Right. And so when you look back to those dark days of feeling invisible and all of that, what would have been your perfect day back then?
Gosh.
What would have made it perfect if you could have made it the way that you wanted it to be?
Yeah, this is not necessarily a positive or constructive way, but I think the way that I would have wanted it back then was for people to leave me alone, right? To just be by myself, and which is ironic because I love being with people,
Mhm.
but I think at that young age, I just wanted to just be by myself, be on my own island, have my own planet, and I guess I kind of did create that within myself, my own mind of I can just go to this place whenever I'm feeling anxious or stressed or feeling like I'm disconnected or nobody's getting me or I'm frustrated. I could just go to this mental place, my own realm, and be the king, be do whatever I want, have the authority, feel empowered. But obviously that's not healthy, right? You have to deal with people, right? You have to confront
That's right.
situations, but that would have been my ideal space of just me being by myself.
That question was my way of walking you into giving advice to a young person who's listening, because I would like to think that Favored by the Father Ministries is an intergenerational ministry, that
Mhm.
we have an intergenerational audience. So, for the young person who's listening, for the guardian, parent, grandparent, auntie, whomever, who has a youngster who is elementary school age or younger or whatever, that may be feeling that way right now, maybe pressing play and hearing you speak right now is going to help them to not be that way. What advice and what kind of talk can you give us for that situation, talking directly to a kid right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say for you, youngster, whoever you are, wherever you are in the world, one, I want you to understand that you have a choice in what you're experiencing, right? The outside world is going to can make you feel small, can make you feel like you've been neglected or hurt and you can't trust people. But I want you to understand that you have a choice. You have a say in the matter of that. And you have the opportunity to do things that I didn't do as a kid. I didn't ask for help. I didn't let anybody close to me or reveal any quote unquote weakness, right? If you have a voice, it matters. So express yourself. Somebody wants to hear you. Somebody is going to be blessed by what you do and how you say it. And the other piece of advice I would give you is if you can tap into better questions you can ask yourself, you can tap into a better life. So when I was a kid, whether age you're at, I would ask questions like, why is it like this? Why can't I have what I want? Why do I have to? I would find all these things to blame other people and be a victim of my circumstance. And as I've gotten older, as I'm a man, I start to recognize that asking myself better questions or more empowering questions, effective questions is is helpful, right? I ask myself things like now, what can I create from this situation? What's available to me? What can I learn from this? How can this help me? How can this empower me? How can this serve me? So those are choices that you have, and recognize that you always have a choice.
That's a great conversation for people of any age. So I hope that the children are listening and that they understand that they can ask different questions. I'm not necessarily going to say better, because when you're feeling invisible,
Mhm.
You don't know what's good or better, but you know that you have a question. And so dare to ask. Find someone that you love, find someone that you care about, find someone that you trust. There is someone that you trust, and you go to them and you ask them the question that you really want to know the answer to. And so, as we continue chatting with Alex today, we're going to dump some more of his puzzle pieces out and ask him to talk to us about a joyful moment. If he could create that moment that was perfect, what would that be? And then we'll get him to give us his identity, his unique identity right now.
Yeah, a joyful moment actually it happened for me on January 23rd, 2022. And this was my first opportunity to speak on stage in terms of like really speaking on stage. Right. I have a background in events, so I was in the background helping different coaches create events and lead teams and lead different sales pitches and demonstrations. But this is the first time that I was an architect of an event, and I was on the stage, nearly 300 people in the room, thousands being of the video recording being live streamed to. I stood there at the end of that day, that that moment, right? I'm in my suit, I'm sweating because it's hot. I'm energetic. I've been moving around. It's been 4 or 5 hours of a long day, and I just come to this moment of watching everybody and soaking in this moment of recognizing, wow, I can do anything, right? From somebody who, as a kid, wouldn't want to speak up for himself, as a kid who went to hide, who was embarrassed to connect with people. Here I am in front of 300 powerful people, myself and three of my friend comrades. We made this all happen within 73 days, right? Fast forward to November 2021. This was just an idea. It was just a thought. What if we put together a 1 day event? And what that showed me through that process of selling tickets, of getting sponsors, of working on my talk, of enrolling people, scheduling things, all right, top to bottom, everything that needs to happen. That yeah, I can do anything with commitment. I was committed to this event happening, and this it was my Super Bowl, right? I won a championship as a kid, as a peewee kid, in football, but this was really the moment of, oh, I'm here, I've arrived. My voice moved people, it moved a movement, and it's gone on to be in the United Kingdom, into India, this particular event, and it's going to go into countries around the world. It's going to be in every continent, and that's my vision. And in the next 10 years, it'll touch hundreds of countries, and people will expand who they're being. And that's a feather in my cap. I got to be a part of that. I got to be uh, an architect of that.
Absolutely beautiful. I'm thinking about this invisible Alex who turned into the win-win global communicator. And so when the young people who heard him earlier uh, listen to not only where he was, but fast forward to where he is, that can be you if you remember that you have choices. Oh, my. So let's dump some more puzzle pieces out. Let's talk about that crucial time where you really did step outside of your comfort zone. You told us about your happiest moment, but tell us about how you jumped out of or slowly stepped out of that box.
Yeah, of one, I mean, a big moment of my life as far as jumping out of the box is simply how I got here in North Carolina. And the story that I like to tell is that it took me and my wife 8 years to figure out how to move in 8 weeks. We both grew up in New York and Long Island, in this town, and this is not an area that is necessarily positive, right? There's not many people talking about what do you want to create. There's not much thought about the future, right? Everything's very much now. People are still reliving high school days. So this is the environment, right? Think of any town like that where there's not much opportunity, there's not much direction, there's people are going nowhere fast. And that's not a slight to the people back home. I'm just sharing this is my experience. And we knew that New York was never going to be our final destination of where we're going to live, but fear, money, kids, distraction, life, just everything getting in the way. And the sensation, the intention became stronger as violence was happening in our area, like expanded violence, like murders, assaults, different things were happening. People almost being abducted in public, and we have a young daughter and a young son at the time, and we're like, okay, we got to get out of here. So 4th of July weekend in 2017, we decided to scout this area. We look, we're getting a feel of the homes we want to buy, and we come back home to New York and we make a decision. We're going to get out of here. We have to do it now. This is now or never. And by Labor Day, right, just end of August, early September, the dog, the kids, we drive, we're out, we're gone. And that's a leap of faith because we're here going to a new state. There's no family support. We don't have jobs. We didn't even look at the physical apartment that we were moving into. My wife did a lot of the research, so I got to give her a lot of credit. She did a lot of the legwork there, but we're going into this huge unknown, really stepping out on faith, and we found a way to thrive. Within a year, we built the house that we're in right now. We built our home. We're scouting out areas for an upgraded dream home of sorts, and that happens because we had a vision, we had a commitment to ourselves and to our family, to our future, and we made a decision. We have the choice to do it now, or we're going to stay stuck in this place that we don't want to be. We wanted to make a move, and it's unconventional. We left family behind, we left friends behind. It's just us, but we've built a life out here.
And now that you stepped out and you've gotten the home, not the apartment, but the home, and you are where you are a few years later, let's look at the purpose. Let's look at what you consider your ultimate purpose. We got to reflect all the way back to that invisible child that
Yeah.
stepped outside of a box, now grown man with a family to provide for. What's your ultimate purpose?
Yeah. My purpose is having fun and helping people, and making sure that everybody wins, and that includes me, because it can become easy to do so much for people, to give, to serve, and I'm not against that. I'm not knocking that, but also remembering I get to take care of myself too. That I matter. That I'm a part of everybody. I'm not separated. It's not everybody here and Alex on planet Alex here. No, like we're all together. We all win, and I think helping people remember their brilliance, and that also serves me. I have to remember that I have to be a guardian of my mind, a defender of my energy, my essence of, oh yeah, I matter too. I'm seen, I'm known, I'm blessed, I'm loved, I belong. And I want to make sure other people feel that too. And in the process, have fun with it. I have this idea that if it isn't fun, it doesn't get done. And I want to get things done. I want to make sure that people are accomplishing, achieving, that they're recognizing that there's abundance daily in their life. That's what I'm here for.
Stay right there with that win-win thing. Let's keep talking about win-winning. Let's keep win-winning. Tell me more about that and how it relates to the work that you do in coaching.
Yeah,
Because that's
it
our
really,
title, how to be a
yeah,
win-win communicator.
yeah. The biggest thing we have in our lives is communication, right? The only way we can make things happen in our life is through communicating, and I see that through a series of choices. When I shared that story about me being a kid and not seeing myself in this family picture, I made a choice to condemn myself. I didn't know that it was a choice. I just thought it was a permanent way of being. I thought it was just who I was. This is how life is always going to be. So I condemned myself instead of connecting with what was really happening. Yeah, it was painful. I was upset. And I chose to disconnect myself from my family emotionally in that sense, right? I chose to condemn myself into a place where nobody could get in and I couldn't get out. That's a choice. Another choice is the work that I've done with teams. I told you about the event that I put on and different events that I've been able to put on since then. That's been a result of me working with people, collaborating for a bigger mission, a bigger vision and picture outside of myself. And that's easy for me to do versus the other side of that is complain. Why is it this way? Why can't it be the way that I want it? Why does it have to be how they want it? Or why do I have to compromise and give up the things that matter to me to make sure that you're appeased? If we're collaborating, we have a big goal. And I can bring my gifts, I can draw your gifts, and we can accomplish that a lot faster together. And the last choice that I see that relates to being a win-win communicator is being creative. I was creative in how I wanted to connect with people. I was creative in how I consciously collaborate and intentionally work with people. And I'm creative of how I envision myself and how I want to come across and where I'm coming from. Rather than coming across or get into, I'm really create the space of where am I coming from. And on the flip side of that, it's the choice of create or criticize. I could criticize about this. I can criticize about this person in this situation in this scenario, and that blocks me from actually listening to someone with generosity. It blocks me from being present with somebody. It blocks me from being curious about their world and how they see it and how I fit into that. So these different things, connection, collaboration, creativity, these are gifts that our Heavenly Father has given us. And it's what I use as really in my system of making a difference in the world with my coaching, with speaking, with podcasting, with just who I am in general.
In general is just the key to knowing that words work, words matter, we matter,
Right.
and that's all about communicating. We're all about communicating ourselves to others, and how we do that is vital to the peace of mind and the intimacy with God that I believe we all must have in order to be at peace and have that fun while we're doing everything that it is that we do in Him. In Him, we live, move, breathe, and have our very being. And because of that, we have the favor of God in our lives. We have to communicate clearly with each other as well as with our God. And
Yeah.
so,
Can,
as we
can I
continue to
share?
talk,
Can I share a quick thought about that?
absolutely.
It means to cut you off. When we think about God, the way I picture God, my relationship, as everything right in the beginning, there was nothing, and God
Mm.
said, "I want to create this." Can you imagine how much fun that must be to create galaxies, to create planets, to create animals, to create humans, right? The joy, the fun that has to be expressed. You don't make the sun like, "Oh, I guess I have to make the sun now. I guess I have to make the moon and the rivers and the seas." That there's no joy in that. There's no energy. There's no beauty in that. There has to be love. There has to be enthusiasm. There has to be passion, right? The word enthusiasm, if you look at the root word in theos, with spirit from God, that's what's inside of all of us. When I'd imagine, right, as you do your podcast, as someone who's listening or watching this right now, as they've done their best work, time passes by like that, right? When you're in the spirit, when you're enjoying what you're doing, when you're immersed and intensely loving that, you don't have to muster the energy like, well, I guess I have to talk to people now. I guess I have to coach people. No, you're excited about that. You can't wait to do that.
That's
Someone has
fast.
to tap you on the shoulder, be like, hey, it's been a few hours. Like you should maybe take a break. Like, oh, has it? Like I got lost in this work. And that's what I see how God operates, right? It's just creating and making all these intricate things, these complex things simple, and that's fun.
It is. It really is. Because I'm having a thrill a minute over here listening to you articulate because it is just fun. working with words and giving a person an opportunity to speak, one podcaster to another, from a fourth of four children, a fifth of five children. We're sharing so many things together, having just met recently. And it's
Yeah.
beautiful how we are interconnected at this point. And so God has allowed us to come together in this space, and we could talk on and on and on, but I'm sure our viewers, our listeners, would love to be in contact with you through your work. Would you tell us a little bit more about how they can be in contact with you at a later time, and maybe another nugget or two about the people with whom you work?
Yeah, sure thing. The folks who really do well with me are the coaches, service-based CEOs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and a lot of the work we do is helping them to slow down, see what's available, get creative with their resources that's available to them right now, and also
Mm.
building onto things they want to create, their desired outcomes. And for anyone who's looking for to connect with me or invite me to speak with their conference or organization event, LinkedIn is the place I'm most active on. So just look up Alex Dumas, Alexdumas. I'm not hard to find. It's a real person. I will respond to you with usually a voice message or a video message. So it's not a bot. It's the real deal to me. And if you want to learn more about my work, go to alexdumascoaching.com, ALEXDUMAS coaching.com. There you find out about the work that I do. I have free resources, audios, interviews, just my gifts to help you with your life. And if you want to have a conversation about whether working with me or bringing me out to your team, then we can talk about that as well. But those would be the two places you can find me, connect with me, and yeah, get into my world, and I can get into yours too.
Let's get into the world of the future with all of this talk, because we want our young people, we want even our current generation to fast forward into generations to come. What are some words of wisdom, words of advice that can prevent people in the future, those generations not even born yet, prevent them from being stuck in a box that they confine themselves in? Words of advice.
Yeah. These words are ones that I share on my daily 3-minute podcast. The podcast is called Love, Serve, Care. So every day for 3 minutes, I share some thoughts and insights of my life and connect it to business and coaching. And at the end of every episode, I say, I don't want to call it a tagline, but just this way to close it out. And these are core values of mine. So I think this is my message for my great grandkids, right? The lineage that will come from me. And it's simply this: you are born to live your life in abundance. You are the master of your future and you control your freedom. You have complete dominance of your thoughts, your emotions, and your habits. And I believe that if you hear that, you can receive that, and you can really slow down within yourself and receive that your lens of the world was going to be a lot different.
Slow down, and I'm going to say cleanse the lens of your self perspective. Unbox yourself. How about that?
That sounds great. Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much for unboxing yourself today. You are on purpose here. And I believe take two is better than take one. What do you think?
Hey, listen, it was meant to be.
I
So,
think take two was supposed to be. There are
yeah.
things that came out that didn't come out the first time, and I'm thinking that that's why we needed to pause and cleanse our lens. All right. Thank you so much for being here today, and I ask that our listening audience would join us for about 30 minutes every week as we step out of a box that confines us, those boxes that we create for ourselves, and allow our little wings like butterflies to just flutter outside of that box of confinement. We can be favored by the Father as we allow the boxes to burst just wide open. at the very Spirit of God that lives in us. We release our new episodes of Unboxed on Purpose every Thursday around 3 p.m. or so, Eastern Standard Time. We share on Favored by the Father Ministries YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our LinkedIn, as well as where most podcast platforms are. Just tap into us, and we would love to have you with us next week. Hopefully, this episode will follow the one that we did with Marta, and you can fulfill your purpose. I don't care where it is that you are in the world. Whatever box you had allowed is now demolished. Stand firm in your purpose. Bloom where you are planted and remain favored by the Father. God bless you, and thank you for tapping Unboxed on Purpose. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Barbara. God bless. Stay
God
blessed.
bless you.